Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, coming to you tonight from north of the border. Yes, I have crossed the border, and I'm coming to you today from the outskirts of Toronto. My company needed some help on a project up here. I have to come and do a bit of troubleshooting with some of our people, and so I'm up here for a couple of days. I was actually supposed to go up for a day last week, but problems at my current project stopped me from going, so now I am up here in the cold, snowy, frozen north area. There's snow on the ground outside. The temperature is 23. Could be worse. It could be in Winnipeg, where it's probably minus 20, minus 30, minus 40, something like that. So I guess I shouldn't be complaining. And of course, it will give me an opportunity to look in the Canadian newspapers and see what they're saying about America, and see what's going on with all their problems with healthcare, etc. Anyway, I'd like to say hi to the early visitors in the chat room here. I have Mary and Iggy Mom. Good evening to you. Thank you for coming and listening live. Got some fun stuff for this evening. A litany of lies, and more lies. I started collecting these sites where they list all the lies of Obama a while back, and it started off with 50, and then it was 60, then it was 80, then it was 100, then it was a couple of hundred. The latest site that I found is almost up to 500 lies or cronyism, or anything that you can think is bad. 500 different examples almost. Now I have put that on my blog site if you want to see all of them. It's at blog.patrickcomelately.us, and there is the most recent post there has a link to the site where this person is collecting all these 500, and some of them were very recently updated to get it up close to the 500. I'm going to go through some of them, and you should say, well, Stefan, we know he lies, and I agree with you, we do. But every so often we need to go back and remind ourselves about all these egregious lies and cronyism and deceit and fraud that they're carrying out, because we have to remind others about it. Because when November 2014 comes around and it's time to vote, I think one of the big arguments needs to be, irrespective of what the whole mess of Obamacare, which is going to have a huge impact in of itself, what about this fact that we have an administration that does nothing but lie to us? Do they deserve to be in power? And I say no, they don't. And just on that alone, forget the Obamacare mess. Like I said, that'll that will collapse under its own weight and probably have a big impact on the election as well. And it's very visible to a lot of people. But I just wish people would wake up and say, but hang on, if they're telling us all these lies, we don't want them in power, because that's not the sort of government that we deserve. Now, on this program, I've always said that I would respect an honest Democrat. I may not agree with what they stand for, but I can respect their point of view. But for someone who uses lying and cheating to stay in power and to force their ideology on the American public, that's just totally despicable, and as far as I'm concerned, garners no respect whatsoever, and as I said before, really, they don't deserve to be in power. Now, one of the things, and before we start on this list, and like I said, I'm not going to go through all 500, but I will pick and choose a few here and there. One of the things that's not on that site, at least not when I picked it up yesterday, is yet another lie, and this is the fact that the ObamaCurse navigators have been encouraging people to commit fraud when signing up for health insurance by not listing all of their income, so basically frauding on how much income they have so that they will get subsidies. And of course, one of the things about ObamaCurse is that Catherine Sebelius said, oh no, we're not actually going to check whatever income level people say. So if you say you earn $1 a week, then you'll get a subsidy accordingly, even if your name is Donald Trump. Not that I would expect Donald Trump to do anything like that, but there are plenty of people who would and who will, and in other words, they're going to lie, they're going to fraud, they're going to cheat, and we're going to be the poor suckers who have to pay for it. Anyway, so this actually came from a site that's run by someone called Dan of the Squirrel Hill, and you can probably Google him, but if not, go to my site. It's blog.patriotcomelately.us, and you'll see there is a link there in the blog, and I think it should still be the first post there. Recently, I haven't been doing a lot of posting to the blog because I've been very busy with the move and everything. But there is a link there, and otherwise Google Dan of the Squirrel Hill, and you'll also find his blog. And he has some interesting posts, but this is really an interesting one. And he himself says, every president, every politician tells some lies and engages in some acts of hypocrisy. But Obama has been doing these things to a far greater degree than anyone in recent history. His campaign promises have been, they sound great. So everybody has high expectations. And as far as I can see, Dan of the Squirrel Hill, by the way, is not a Republican. He's not a Tea Party person. I think somewhere on his site he actually says that he is actually a registered Democrat. So he's expressing a lot of disappointment with King Barry, and do you blame him? Right? He talks about waiting, no lobbyists in his administration waiting 5 days before signing all non-emergency bills so people would have time to read them, putting the healthcare negotiations on C-SPAN, reading every bill line by line to make sure money isn't being wasted, prosecution of Wall Street criminals, ending raids against medical marijuana, high levels of transparency. These all sounded so great when he came in, and yet he didn't do any of them. And so he says when Obama broke these promises, it felt so much worse than when other presidents broke their promises. And of course, yes, if you are a Democrat, high hopes of this post-racial president that was going to reach across the aisle and make everything good. So, and he didn't do that. So let's have a look at some of the things that he did do. He gave a non-bid contract to Halliburton, just like Bush did. But isn't Bush bad? Because everything's Bush's fault. Well, maybe that's why. Maybe it was Bush's fault that he had to give Halliburton a no-bid contract. Surprisingly, this was given just hours after the Justice Department mentioned it was going to pursue a lawsuit accusing the Houston-based company of using kickbacks to get foreign contracts. So the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand, apparently. Has an administration full of lobbyists after promising he wouldn't have any. Has close ties to Wall Street, but pretends to support Occupy Wall Street. In the run-up to his election, he held a fundraiser where Wall Street investment bankers and hedge fund managers were paying $35,000 to attend. In 2011, he hired Broderick Johnson, a longtime Wall Street lobbyist, to be his new senior campaign advisor. So, Wall Street ties, very close. Broke his promise to close Guantanamo Bay. Supported the TARP bailout, just like Bush. Waged the biggest war against medical marijuana of any president, which is the opposite of what he promised. Now, this is another one which I sort of say, hey, you know, that's a lefty thing that they should get upset about that. So Dan of the Squirrel Hill obviously does perhaps lean a bit more left, but also one that I would have said, well, if he was promising this, wouldn't you expect it? Right? In 2008, before he was elected, he said he would support the basic concept of using medical marijuana for the same purposes and with the same controls as other drugs. And he was not going to be using Justice Department resources to try to circumvent state laws. But the Obama administration has now raided more than 100 dispensaries in its first 3 years and is now poised to outpace the Bush's administration's crackdown record. Now, we all know that during Obama's youth, he often smoked large quantities of recreational marijuana. Recreational, mind you. He didn't need it, right? It wasn't for any pain. It wasn't to alleviate any suffering. It was purely recreational. And yet now he is taking large-scale, widespread action to prevent people with AIDS, cancer, multiple sclerosis, glaucoma, and other illnesses who have prescriptions from their doctors from using their prescription medicine. How cold-hearted can a person be? Doesn't surprise us at all, does it? We all know he nominated a 6-time tax cheater, Timothy Geithner, to head the government agency that enforces the tax laws, gave tax dollars to AIG executives, then pretended to be outraged about it. He actually, and this surprised me as well, expanded Bush's unconstitutional government faith-based programs. He supported the unconstitutional Patriot Act. Many of us will agree that many parts of the Patriot Act are unconstitutional. Yes, there are aspects of security in there that we may need, but you have to balance security against the Constitution, and they definitely didn't do that. It increased the national debt more in one term than Bush did in two. We all know about that. Agreed with Bush's support of unconstitutional indefinite detention of U.S. citizens without filing any charges. Supports Bush's unconstitutional warrantless wiretapping. Avoided prosecution of Wall Street criminals. He promised to prosecute them, but they didn't file any criminal charges against any of the top financial executives. As I said, he's in bed with Wall Street. Had forced U.S. citizens killed without judicial process. You can say Anwar al-Awlaki was a terrorist, but he was still a U.S. citizen. So what gives Khalif Hussein the right to kill him? Ordered a private company to fire 1,000 employees. Talked about this, I know, a couple of years ago when Boeing opened up a new factory in South Carolina. The National Labor Relations Board, under Obama, ordered Boeing to shut down the factory because the factory was non-union, therefore firing 1,000 new employees. of a private company. Since when can the government tell a private company what to do? Well, since Gary took power. Stole money from retired teachers and police officers. Sounds bad when you say it like that, but basically, during the Chrysler GM bankruptcy, Obama violated the Fifth Amendment and more than 150 years of bankruptcy law by illegally treating secured creditors worse than unsecured creditors. Of course, who were the unsecured creditors? They were the trade unions. Who were the secured creditors? Yeah, they were retired teachers and retired police officers. Like I said, sounds a lot worse when you say it like that. Supported the release of a convicted mass murderer. You might say, he never did that. Yes, he did. He supported releasing the Lockerbie bomber, al-Megrahi, right, who had been convicted of murdering 270 people. Supposedly on humanitarian grounds, he was dying from cancer. Funny how he actually had an upsurge after that and lived a lot longer than anybody expected. Because we all know about Fast and Furious, putting thousands of guns into the hands of criminals illegally. If you put guns in the hands of criminals, is that illegal? I mean, I think that's automatically illegal, isn't it? Yeah. Fired an inspector general for discovering that Obama's friend had embezzled government funds, and did so by claiming that the guy was a wacko when plenty of people said he wasn't. Lied about putting the health care negotiations onto C-SPAN. Of course, we all know about lying about people keeping their health insurance. And again, this is one meme that we have to keep alive. We have to remind people, right? You can keep your health plan, period. You can keep your doctor, period. He lied about the cost of ObamaCurse. We know that. He said, I will not sign a plan that adds one dime to our deficits, either now or in the future. Yeah, right. Right now, I think we're up to 2 or 3 trillion that it's going to add to the debt. Give tax dollars to campaign contributors and lobbyists, claiming it was for green energy. Well, we all know about Solyndra. Had off-the-record meetings with lobbyists. Well, again, we know the scandal of the White House, people meeting outside the White House at Starbucks and other coffee shops around the White House, so they didn't have, so the people they were meeting with didn't have to sign in on the logs, and so we wouldn't know who they were meeting with. He falsely claims to believe in public education, yet his own kids go to private schools, both in Chicago and in Washington. Of course, the Justice Department also raided a law-abiding guitar factory. Surprisingly enough, it was owned by a Republican, and one of its competitors that was owned by a Democrat and that was using the same kind of wood for which the Justice Department claimed they were making the raid was never raided. So again, a lot of this has been handled, a lot of this still is from his first term, but I want to bring it up again, folks. We need to bring it up again. We need to keep this alive. This is the most absolutely despicable, lying, cheating, frauding president that there ever was, and we need to keep spreading this message. And we need to spread it far and wide. The Justice Department also shut down an Amish farm for selling unpasteurized milk. Unfortunately, people came from across state lines to buy the milk, and they knew what they were buying, but it's against the law, so they shut the farm down. Isn't that, again, you sort of think, how can they do that? Rewarded fundraisers by giving them federal jobs. He promised to have the most sweeping ethics reform in history, but he gave administration jobs to more than half of his 47 biggest fundraisers. he ignored the Constitution to appoint the dozens of czars that he was appointing. I see it's time for the commercial break. So let's take a quick commercial break, folks. Stick with me, if you would. I will be back after all these messages.
Are you paying too much for your car insurance policy? Have you shopped your current plan in the last year? If you haven't, then you probably are paying too much. You could save up to 40% on your current car insurance coverage just by making a free call right now. Doesn't it make good sense to pay less for something you have to pay for anyway? And car insurance is one of those things. You got to have car insurance, whether you have one car or 10 cars. So why not see if you can pay a lot less for it right now? One quick 3-minute call, and you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. We'll compare the leading car insurance companies and get you coverage that could save you up to 40% on your car insurance. Call now for a free quote. Call 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. That's 800-603-9980.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom112.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom112.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom112.com. Go to freedom112.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom112.com.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me through the break. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, coming to you from beautiful, snowy Toronto. Yes, that's right. I'm north of the border, helping out my company, doing a little bit of troubleshooting up here. So I'm up here for a couple of days and then back down to lovely, warm Florida. About another 8 to 10 weeks that we'll be down in Florida. Right now I'm trailer trash. I'm living in an RV and waiting for the new Patrick Come Lately studios to be built in Georgia. So I'm in the mobile studio, as I like to call it, and I know for the next couple of weeks when I get back home, I will be enjoying the warm weather, although I hear from my wife, even in Florida, it's pretty chilly, but not as bad as here, and I guess it could be worse. I could, as I said at the beginning of the show, I could be in somewhere like Winnipeg, where it's probably even colder, so we'll see. Anyway, let's go. Tonight, I promised you lies, and more lies, and I'm just going to go through some of these things. I'm going to try and pick a few now. We've had some of the more obvious ones from his first term, and not even everything that we commented him on, but I want to pick a few of the ones that are a little more hidden, a little less known. Some of you may know them, but others may not, and as I said at the beginning of the show, why am I doing this? Well, we need to keep alive this fact that Obama is probably the most corrupt, the most cheating, lying, despicable president that we've ever had, and anybody who stands with him, i.e. most of the Democrats, anyone who votes or doesn't deserve to be in power. So when 2014 comes along and 2016, we need to boot anybody who supported this crazy guy. Anyway, so other things. He used tax dollars to glorify murderers. This is to say, did he really? What was that? Well, apparently the administration gave $1.6 million to restore graffiti that glorified Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. They are brutal, thuggish murderers. So why would you restore graffiti that glorifies them? Because they're part of that left-wing heaven that he would like to have, where he can do what he wants to whoever he wants, and that's why. He claimed that the U.S. Supreme Court had never overturned any laws that had been passed by Congress. Well, he was supposed to be a constitutional professor, although we know it wasn't that actually what he was, but again, that was another lie. But that was, of course, totally wrong. He spent $205,000 of taxpayer money on shrubbery, which nurseries sell for $16 per bush. Now, I'm sure he bought more than one bush. So $16 times 10 times 20, whatever. I mean, oh no, it was a single specimen. He spent $205,000 to relocate and care for a single specimen of a shrub that nurseries sell for $16. Would he really be stupid enough to do that? Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, the administration illegally demanded monetary payment for FOIA requests. The FOIA regulations, laws, are that if you request information, that part of the administration, the department that you request it from, has to provide it. At the very most, you can request copying costs. But the Obama administration demanded that the Goldwater Institute had to pay $78,935 before it would share public records that the Goldwater Institute had requested under a FOIA request. Let's see. Closed the Vietnam Memorial for 7 hours on Memorial Day so he could have his picture taken. Was it a selfie, I wonder? That was Memorial Day 2012. Of course, don't forget, he also closed the Vietnam Memorial when the government was shut down for no reason at all, because it cost more money to keep the damn thing closed than it did to leave it open. Let's have a look here. How are we doing for time? Yeah, we've got a little bit more time before the... Okay, here's a despicable one. He broke a promise to teen campaign volunteers. King Barry had promised some teen campaign volunteers that if they each spent 9 hours going door to door on his behalf, he would invite them to attend his speech of September 6, 2012. However, after they did the work, he broke his promise. One of these volunteers, a 16-year-old of Charlotte, North Carolina, said, "I've been looking forward to this for a really long time. I'm feeling really let down and bummed. It was kind of my dream to see him speak, so definitely really sad." He falsely claimed to know more about Judaism than any other president. He exempted wind farms from penalties that other electric producers get for killing birds. Right? The Obama administration has been charging oil companies for drowning birds in their waste pits and power companies for electrocuting birds on power lines, but wind farms have never been fined or prosecuted. So it seems that they're getting millions of dollars in fines and settlements from businesses, including oil and gas companies, for birds being killed, but wind farms, no. he falsely claimed that he never belonged to the New Party. The New Party is a shadowy party that really borders on being communist, and he claimed he was never a member, but proof was shown that he was. Let's see. Tried to silence criticism of auto bailouts. We'll talk about our First Amendment again. The White House actually pressured the Ford Motor Company to stop airing an ad that criticized the bailouts of General Motors and Chrysler. And Ford did give in, because when the government leans on you, what do? You know that they're going to give you great problems. He has falsely claimed to support the Second Amendment. He has stated, "I've always believed that the Second Amendment protects the rights of individuals to bear arms." Oh yeah, right. But what about his fanatical pursuit of gun control? So, again, lies, and more lies. Okay, folks, time for another break. I'll be back after this next set of messages, and thank you. If you need any of these services, remember, please use these 800 numbers.
Limited time offer, 24 months, includes credit qualification required, cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish, because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-865-5017. That's 1-800-865-5017. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-865-5017 for details.
Why spend more than you have to on your life insurance? Did you know that term life insurance rates have fallen over 60% in the last 15 years? At the Life Insurance Quote Line, we monitor the rates, features, and financial strength of hundreds of life insurance products. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can protect his family with $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. Rates for women are even lower. And don't forget to ask us about the new term life policies that guarantee your money back even if you don't die. Since 1986, we've helped tens of thousands of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Why not find out how much you can save? Write down this number and call today for your free quote. 1 5-minute call is all it takes. Call 800-915-9734. 800-915-9734. That's 800-915-9734. Rates, policy forms, and availability vary by state.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Mauskop. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Mauskop's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-559-3307. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-559-3307. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-559-3307.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us.
And just a reminder, this is Stephen, your Patrick Come Lately, no guest tonight. We're just going through a litany of lies, and more lies that can be attributed to Obama. Actually, some of these are not actually lies, they're just totally corrupt and despicable things that he's done, but in general it tends to we're focusing a little bit on the lies part of things. And just a reminder, folks, why are we doing this? We are doing this because we need to keep alive this idea in all of your friends that this administration cannot be trusted anymore. They are the biggest set of liars out. Almost everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. They don't deserve to be in power. So, as we go back to this list, I think just to go back to one thing that keeps coming up from this administration. They keep claiming to be the most transparent in history, and yet we all know that to be a huge lie, and all sorts of journalists as well are saying it's unbelievable how non-transparent this administration has been, and a number of very respected journalists who have been in Washington for a long while have said they have never seen anything so non-transparent in any administration whatsoever. So here's some of the other egregious things he did. He nominated a past frequent user of illegal drugs to keep illegal drugs out of schools. Well, yeah, I mean, what can you say about that? Maybe because the guy was a frequent user, he knows more of how to stop people from using, but do you really think so? I don't think so. He claims that his campaigns are not funded by large donors, but they are, and the small donations that he gets all come also illegally from abroad. He tried to create an administration full of tax cheaters. We all know about Timothy Geithner, of course, but also he nominated Tom Daschle to be Secretary of Health and Human Services. But when he was proven to be a tax cheater, he had to step down. And then Kathleen Sebelius is known to be a tax cheater as well. He also nominated Nancy Killefer to be his administration's chief performance officer, whatever that is, because I think he's the one that gives the biggest performance when he's up on the stage there. He's a real actor, and everything that comes out of his mouth is just scripted and has nothing to do with the reality. But Nancy Killefer was a tax cheat. Hilda Solis was nominated to be Secretary of Labor. She was a tax cheat. And Ron Kirk was the White House Chief Trade Representative. All of these people have been caught cheating on their taxes. What happened to honor? I can remember, many years ago when I was much, much younger, people had honor. And if you were caught with something like that, you stepped down and you disappeared from the public view. And he just elevated up to some kind of heroes. He tried to replace science with political correctness. Yeah, remember Charles Bolden in 2010, he's the administrator of NASA, said that Obama told him the primary purpose of NASA was to reach out to the Muslim world. Yeah, let's reach out to the Muslim world while China is putting their own space station into orbit and landing rovers on the moon. Let's reach out to the Muslim world. Yeah, right. Here's one I think is really bad. He lied about being his brother's keeper. He likes to cite the Bible phrase, "We are our brother's keeper." But when his poverty-stricken half-brother, George Obama, needed $1,000 to pay for health care, he was nowhere to be found. In the end, Dinesh D'Souza, the conservative author, ended up paying for it. Supports guns to protect himself and his wife, but opposes them for everyone else. Yeah. In January of this year, he signed a bill that provides armed guards to himself and his wife for the rest of their lives. But he doesn't want us to have guns to protect ourselves. When he was campaigning for his first term, he said, "We can't drive our SUVs and eat as much as we want and keep our homes on 72 degrees at all times and then just expect that other countries are going to say okay." But he had a chef fly round trip from St. Louis to Washington so he could make Obama's favorite pizza. Of course, he does drive SUVs, and many people talk about how the White House is a shirt sleeve type area, even in the middle of winter, because Obama likes to keep it as hot as hell. Well, maybe that's very appropriate. The administration pressured public schools to replace Catcher in the Rye with a book on window insulation. This is part of this Common Core crap, where they felt that literary greats like The Great Gatsby and Catcher in the Rye should be replaced with Common Core suggested examples like the Environmental Protection Agency's recommended levels of insulation. Am I reading this right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. In '96, he lied about answering a questionnaire on gun control. Because in '96, when answering a questionnaire on his political views, one of the questions was, "Do you support a state legislation to ban the manufacture, sale, and possession of handguns?" He said, "Yes, I support that." 2008, though, he said, "My writing wasn't on that particular questionnaire." But then we had handwriting experts from ABC, not your most right-wing thing, said the questionnaire appears to have Obama's handwriting. He falsely claimed that his 2013 inauguration this year was not funded by lobbyists. Its sponsor had spent $160 million on lobbying during the first presidential term. Not lobbyists? Well, it's like he doesn't have lobbyists in the White House, right? Of course. Let's see. How are we doing for time? No, we've got a couple of minutes before the next break. Oh, here's a good one. Hypocritically pays his female employees less than his male employees. Right? He's always talking about equal pay for men and women, but in the White House, female employees earn on average 18% less than male employees. He criticized Romney for having investments in China and the Cayman Islands, but he has a number of investments in both of those places himself. Had the State Department spend $27 million on pottery classes in Morocco. The only problem was the class used an American teacher, but the translator who was hired did not know how to speak English and so made many mistakes in translating. The instructor did not bring the right material to the class because they were not obtainable in Morocco, so basically the classes were ineffective. In other words, $27 million of our taxpayer money down the drain. Accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign citizens. Said that. The small donations that were being made by a credit card, there was no check on the Obama site as to where they came from, whereas if you went to Mitt Romney's campaign website and tried to do it, and as an experiment, they actually did that, Mitt Romney's site rejected it. So the technology is there to do it, but Obama didn't do that. Last year, October, he said that we'd got back every dime of the bailout. However, the Congressional Budget Office said there was still $24 billion that hadn't been paid back. let's see, what else? We know that he falsely claimed that False and Furious was started when Bush was president. No, that was a totally different program. Was not as half as bad as Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious just really was thousands of guns. The Bush program wasn't anywhere near that. So, I mean, just unbelievable. All these things, and as I said, just going on and on. But remember, you can find all 400, and I think right now the list is up to 487, but they may be longer. If you either search for Dan of the Squirrel Hill in Google, or go to my website, go to my blog site, blog.patrickcomelately.us, and there is a linked posting there which will take you to Dan of the Squirrel Hill's blog, and you can read all of these lies in there as well. Anyway, folks, time for the last commercial break, and after that we'll be back with these with the final handful of lies before the end of the show. And commercials. We do have to pay the rent, I know. Sorry about that, folks.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. That's 800-704-1662.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, a step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-259-1409. 1-800-259-1409. 1-800-259-1409. That's 1-800-259-1409.
The path to restoring our republic was laid down by our founding fathers. The principles of freedom, liberty, personal responsibility, and limited government are conservative ideals we will never abandon. America is listening. Grassroots, common sense, conservative talk radio. It's on the internet. Tune in now. Red State Talk Radio, featuring some of the most popular internet talk show hosts in America today. Are you listening? RedStateTalkRadio.com.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive. A proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network.
And thank you for sticking with me. We're into the final segment of the show. Tonight has been lies, a litany of lies, deceit, fraud, cronyism, all sorts of bad things that the Obama regime has been doing. Just a quick reminder, though, for people who are listening to the recording, if you listen to the recording any time after the original broadcast of the show, some of these commercials do have offers that are time limited, so just be aware that not all of the Not all of the offers in the commercials are still may still be valid if you're listening a few weeks after the original date of broadcast of the show. So, as I said at the beginning, why are we dragging this all up? Because we need to be reminded every so often about how corrupt, how fraudulent this government is, and also earlier this week we found out that a number of regulations which would impact people negatively had been delayed by the White House, and they told the departments, the relevant departments like the EPA, I think one of them was the mine safety, the department responsible for mine safety. They were told to delay the implementation of these regulations till after last year's election so they would not impact the election. So you say, okay, the EPA, well, if it's that important, and we all know the EPA really overreaches a lot of the time, so, but if it's that important, why would you wait? But what's even more egregious is the fact that the mine safety, for example, so here he's playing with the lives of people, the safety of workers, and saying don't implement these rules to improve the safety because it might impact jobs, it might impact people who might vote for him, and he wanted to do anything to get back into power. And it's like I said at the beginning, I can respect an honest Democrat even if I don't agree with what he stands for. But when you get to this kind of situation where you have to lie and cheat to stay in power and force your ideology on people, you don't deserve that power. And so now when we as conservatives, constitutionalists and Republicans talk about voter fraud, and the left says, oh no, there's no voter fraud, there's no voter fraud. Can we trust them? They lie about everything else, so why should we trust them on this? Of course there's voter fraud. We know that. Everybody knows that. And it's about time we found a way to stop that. Voter fraud, for example, in Mexico, they were saying about, well, the Hispanics, the poor Hispanics, if you do a voter ID, then they can't get cards. But in Mexico, where many of them come from, you cannot vote without a voter ID card. You have to get one in order to vote. And yet we're saying, oh, we can't do that, it's racist. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting. Okay, some other things that he's done for the last couple of minutes. What's particularly egregious? Okay, he refused to fire Kathleen Sebelius, right, Secretary of HHS, even before the ObamaCurse debacle, because she violated campaign finance laws. She stood up in a meeting and solicited money, which you are not allowed to do. There's a law against that, so why wasn't she fired? He spends $102,000 per year of taxpayer money on a dog handler for his dogs in the White House. He also his administration refused to fire a federal employee who sent an email to 17,000 people praising a terrorist who wanted to destroy the U.S. Yes, praising Che Guevara. And he refused, he wouldn't have him fired. When you talk about the cost of federal regulations, in September 2012, he claimed that the cost to citizens and business owners was more than was 20 times less than it actually was. I mean, it goes on and on and on. However, I see we've come to the last minutes of the show. Folks, I could go on forever, but as I said, there are so many. Please go to blog.patrickcomelately.us, and which links to Dan of the Squirrel Hills blog. Go read them. There are almost 500 different lies and situations there that we need. We need to spread this far and wide. We need to remind the American public constantly throughout this coming year, it's less than 12 months now to the next election. Remind people every day, every time you see people, tell them, these people don't deserve to be in power. ObamaCurse is enough of a debacle, but really, the really bad thing that we need to impress upon people is if they are such liars and cheats, they don't deserve power. And thanks, Mary, for putting the link to the blog there. That's one link. As I said, you can also just go to blog.patrickcomelately.us. Okay, folks, time for the end music. It was nice having you. Talk to you next week from Florida. Looking forward to it.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.